Today on Cinema Bros, we will be reviewing the Netflix animated picture Leo, released in 2023, starring Adam Sandler and Bill Burr. Disclaimer for all you fans out there, if you have not seen Leo, please go watch it and then listen to this podcast. When you get home after a long week from work, you thank God it's the weekend and put on your comfy clothes. But then you remember you're a loser with no plans. How about you come join us and watch a movie with the Cinema Bros? We are the Cinema Bros. If you're a fan of The Matrix and the Blue Steel Pose, heat up some popcorn and come listen to our show. It's called the Cinema Bros.
You know, we should record it with actual music because you just like off-key a cappella just doesn't get the same message across.
I disagree.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it. And yeah, if you know anybody who wants to put in some tunes to my a cappella, that'd be great. If you're listening, if you're my brother / co-host Nick, welcome to the Cinema Bros. This is where you get the best reviews for new movies, old movies, movies you've seen, movies that you haven't seen but want to hear about. I'm Spen, he's Nick, and as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, the movie we are reviewing today is Leo. It was released in 2023. It's on Netflix. It stars Adam Sandler and Bill Burr. Nick, let's get into it.
I'm ready.
I really like this movie. That's you know, look, we're both suckers for Adam Sandler, and in a weird way, this is becoming an Adam Sandler podcast because we first did, his daughter's bat mitzvah movie. Now we're doing his movie with his daughters that's animated. In all honesty, I feel like he's at the point in his career where it's either he's going to do a movie with his daughters or he's not going to do anything at all.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Sadie and Sonny were the voices of two of the kids in the class. I believe it's a 5th grade class because they're about to graduate from elementary school. Adam Sandler's the pet lizard and Bill Burr is the pet turtle. I enjoyed it a lot too. I'm not going to lie. This and the last Adam Sandler film we reviewed, You Are So Not Coming to My Bat Mitzvah, I don't know if we're getting older or I just misinterpreted the previews. They both were more for kids than I had anticipated. I should have realized that with that You Are So Not Coming to My Bat Mitzvah. It was more of a kid's movie. I thought this was going to be a little closer to like a Pixar movie where it has a lot of undertones of like older themes and mature themes, and it's kind of for both the parents and the kids. It was a little more for the kids than I expected, but what Adam Sandler does so well is all these little jokes and all these little moments and all these little background scenes that he just kind of sprinkles in here and there where you get that mature, really funny slapstick humor for a second that you've learned to love and appreciate with Adam Sandler over the last 25 years. So it had those moments, but I will say as a whole, if you are looking to watch this movie, expect it to be more of a kid's movie, maybe like the kind of the middle school range. But I will say as an adult, as a 28-year-old, I definitely laughed out loud maybe 5 to 7 times and overall enjoyed the sentiment of the movie.
So the IMDb plot written by Alex Hartzell, shout out to Alex. The last year of elementary school as seen through the eyes of a class pet. A jaded 74-year-old lizard named Leo has been stuck in the same Florida classroom for decades with his turtle terrarium mate. When he learns that he only has 1 year to live, he plans to escape to experience life on the outside, but instead gets caught up in his anxious students' problems, such as an impossibly mean substitute teacher, played by Cecily Strong from Saturday Night Live.
And I want to point out too the plot. The whole thing is after 74 years of being a class pet, no, he's never talked to a human. And of course, when he's about to die, he starts speaking to the kids and helping them out. It was honestly, I think it's a very cute idea. I really conceptually, and the execution was great, but just as soon as you learn what it's about, I do think it's a very cute, like, oh, why hasn't this been done before type animated film.
I definitely like this movie more than You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. And what you were saying, I think that movie skewed more towards kids.
Yes.
This movie still skewed more towards children, but I think it was more appropriate for adults to watch because, like you said, there were a lot of those jokes The whole concept is Adam Sandler is using his wiseness. Is wiseness a word?
Sure.
He's using that experience to sort of teach these kids how to deal with their problems, and he makes everyone's lives better. That's pretty much the moral of the story. I loved it.
It took me like an hour to get over Adam Sandler's voice.
Could you do it?
Yeah, he basically combined. So who's seen 8 Crazy Nights here? He basically has combined Whitey, which is like, my hands in your mouth, kitty, but I can't feel no teeth, with Eleanor, who's like, Whitey, I called them all, but they said to try back later. And he like found a middle ground that was kind of like, now I'm gonna mess it all up. He's like, you know, Bill Burr, I've been doing this for quite a while now, and I really think that we should try to work. Like, it's so, and me and Spencer are both Jewish, it's so like old Jewish grandma character that's like your bubby. And hearing that voice that I've heard in 8 Crazy Nights, that I've heard him do on Saturday Night Live, I just laughed as soon as I heard it. And I was like, okay, I need to get over this. This needs to come comfortable in the world, because I'm not hearing the character. I'm just hearing an Adam Sandler impression right now.
Dude, you're going to think I'm crazy. It took me about 10 minutes to realize that was Sandler.
No, dude, that sounds like every voice he's ever done.
I'm hearing Burr, right? Because Burr is so in your face. Burr's, yeah, I'm in the classroom. There are kids. Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I do a decent Burr, but with him, you're right. He had this kind of thing where he's like, you know, I can't do it as well as you, but for some reason, the animation.
You've been doing the thing for a while now. I'm trying my best to get through it, but I just don't know.
I don't know, Leo. These kids, this classroom. No, listen. So I think once I got used to Sandler and Burr's characters, I fell in love with them immediately. Some of the voices in this were great. I loved Jason Alexander's role as Jada's dad. I think his character, they called him like Dr. Skin. He was great. I thought he was very funny. You had Rob Schneider as the principal. Yeah.
As you get in to these characters and these cameos, I just want to give the people a little plot analysis of why these people come in. Basically, their teacher is pregnant, their normal 5th grade teacher, and she has to leave for the substitute teacher to come in, which creates a huge uproar in the class. So Jason Alexander's character, this kind of pretentious father, has to come in and say this isn't acceptable. And Rob Schneider is another father, right, in the film?
No, he's the principal.
Oh, he's the principal. Oh, okay. There were so many familiar voices of people who've worked with Sandler coming in at separate times. You know, to talk about the adult themes, when the teacher, we're starting to learn she's pregnant, she's saying like no snacks in class, and she's slowly going around and eating all the kids' snacks. And then she takes a kid's Cheeto napkin and licks the napkin, and then walks over to the front of the class and pukes into a garbage can. Those are the type of things. So I don't want people to think they don't have those more edgy, raunchy, dirty jokes. They're just a little more few and far between.
Yeah, and I think they're subtle, right? That wasn't in your face. It was subtle. Look, this movie was a little bit long for me. You know, hour 42 minutes. He has an experience at every single kid's house where he finds out what sort of their flaw or their issue with their life is, which when you're a 2nd grader is not that big, and he walks them through it. I think this movie got deep at moments. At one point, he talked to the girl who had a close relationship with one of her grandparents, and the grandparent died. And were her parents divorced? Was that the same kid?
I can't.
It's hard because there were so many issues with each kid that like it was hard to keep up. But overall,
you had like the snobby girl, the sad girl
who was played by his older daughter.
Yes, the Summer, who's played by the younger daughter, right? Who doesn't shut the hell up, so he has to try to get her to listen more. You've got the bully who's insecure because he was held back, and all his friends. And he goes and at each one of their houses, they have an interaction where he kind of teaches them a lesson. I was actually like dying laughing. Bill Burr basically gets jealous that Adam Sandler's going to all these houses. He's like, let me do what you do. So at the end of the week, when the teacher says who's taking a pet home, Bill Burr sneaks in, and Bill Burr basically tries to teach the bully character where babies come from but he only knows where babies come from as a turtle. So he's like, when the man finds the woman in the lake and he brings her to shore and she buries the eggs under the sand. I thought that was so clever and so funny. And the kid was like mesmerized. And there was a callback later at the end of the film where the teacher has a baby and the bully goes like, wow, she only had one. She must not have buried her eggs far enough in the sand. Little things like that I thought were very cute and funny.
Yeah. No, I listen. There were moments in this movie that made me laugh. It made it a cute movie. Was it the best structured movie in the world? No. Were there a few run-on moments? Yes. But
what I will say, from an analysis standpoint, like the screenplay itself, you're right. It probably dragged on a little long. Probably took a little bit too long to get into him going. There's a lot of context and buildup of the characters and the backstory. What I will say they did a good job of doing, right? Once you get the plot, he goes to the first girl's house, he helps her out. He goes to the second kid's house, he helps her out. You're looking at a class of about 10 to 12 kids, and you're thinking as the audience member, oh shit, okay, is this whole movie, he's just going to go to every single person's house. They did this really good tool where after the first two, where you get what's going on, he's telling Bill Burr about all the adventures with the kid. So now you're not in that world anymore. Him and Bill Burr are having this conversation. They sneak out of the tank. They're walking to the desk. They do this whole like nightly thing in the classroom. And he's going, oh, but let me tell you about this kid. Oh, but then this kid did this. And he was almost able to speed up and flashback and montage all the other kids' experiences to kind of keep the movie going. And because I think what a lot of movies make the mistake of doing is once you get the bit, they do the same bit for an hour. They did that bit and they moved. They gave you all the context you needed, and they were able to fast forward and kind of change the storyline from, okay, he's now helped all the kids. Now what? The substitute teacher comes into play towards the end of the film, and she wants to take credit for all of Adam Sandler's work. So I don't want to do we give spoilers on this? I don't want to give the ending.
We do. The thought process is I gave a disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. If you're listening to this, you probably watched the movie.
Okay, if you guys have not seen the movie, this is spoiler, but basically it turns into the substitute teacher who you think he just got through to. He sits her down at the end, the final kind of step to make this mean, crabby old substitute teacher kind and dig underneath the surface. And right when you think she's softening up, she puts together a plan to take credit for all of his work and send him to the Everglades. And now the whole thing is the kids have to get him back because he thinks he's done. Like, this whole thing ensues. But whole point being, they turned the plot and they offset where you thought it was going. And it did, in a sense, keep you on your toes.
It did. And that him going to the Everglades, it brings the movie full circle because that was initially where he wanted to escape to. He would talk to Bill Burr's character. He'd be like, if I could go anywhere, it would be the Everglades.
No, that's not. No, you're going too nasally. Too nasally.
Yeah, I think that was too Whitey's. That was too Eleanor.
I think I would go to the Everglades. You ever been to the Everglades? It's the best place in the world.
I gotta work on that. But otherwise, overall cute movie. Nick Swardson had a cameo as one of the pets. Did you recognize his voice?
No,
he was Cinnabon.
Oh,
he was.
Yes,
here, I'll show you the picture. You remember?
Yes, I can't see it because you're in the background thing. Yes, this was actually a very cute thing too, because they're in 5th grade. They've only learned what the kids have learned in 5th grade. So right. Bill Burr and Adam Sandler's pets characters only know like long division, whereas they don't know the alphabet or addition because they haven't taken kindergarten or 1st grade. So they have to stage a fire drill, get put outside with all the other pets to ask Cinnabon, Nick Swardson's rabbit character who's in 1st grade, how to do addition. So Adam Sandler could say, hey, if I was born in 1949 and it's 2023, how old am I? Nick Swardson says, you're 74. Adam Sandler just found out that lizards only live till 75. And now he has to try to live his best life. So I thought that was a very good, funny little game to play of you only know the knowledge in the grade. So theoretically, if you're in college and you're a class pet, you only know very statistics and calculus, and you don't actually know addition in the alphabet. I thought that was a very cute bit to pull off.
2 questions. I don't remember. How did he find out that lizards only live to 75? Who told him that?
That's a good question. I want to say
it was either one of the teachers or the students. I don't remember.
It was either Bill Burr. Someone knew it from speaking to another old pet at some point. I don't remember.
Okay. The second thing I wanted to say is, I know this is a kids movie. I know this is animated. Any moment in this movie, like towards the ending, did you think that Sandler's pet lizard character would die?
No, but it was still not predicted. You know what it very much reminded me of the turtles from Finding Nemo, where the guy Crush, remember they're in like the funnel. He's like, "How old are you?" "I'm 212, bro." Like it gave me that vibe of there's a common theme in a lot of these animated movies with animals where they just don't know how long they live for. So it reminded me of that, of like he thinks he lived for 75 years. Spoiler alert here, he finds out he could live to like 120. So he goes out in the wild and these lizards in the Everglades tell him, he's like, "I'm 105, I'm 102, whatever." So no, to answer your question, I don't think I ever thought he was going to die, but I did not see that twist coming, and that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, no, I for a moment there, I thought he might die, and that was going to be a lesson that the kids learned, was like everybody dies, every pet dies. I don't know. I could have saw the movie going in that direction. It did not. I don't think there's a lot more to say about this movie. I mean, yeah.
I want to say this. I want to say Adam Sandler, for as many duds as he's put out in the last decade, he comes out with a movie like this, and you're still not coming to my bat mitzvah. And you always at first are watching these and you're like, oh, it's a cheesy animated movie. You end up feeling something every time. You end up also appreciating how brilliant Adam Sandler is with a lot of these little jokes and moments and tropes and plot twists. Like a movie like this that is so simple and just makes sense that somebody would put it out. An animated movie, two big actors playing class pets who end up changing the kids' lives and changing their own lives in the process. Boom, that makes sense. That's a seller. That's going to theaters. Kids and parents are going to love it. But he almost always impresses you with all the other little things he does in that movie. And it's the little side characters. It's the guy who rips his shirt off and he's got so much back hair and then comes in at the end and rips it off again. That's such an Adam Sandler joke of like this. It's Richardson from Hot Rod, if you guys get that reference. One little funny, silly thing that keeps sporadically coming out throughout the movie. So little things like that. I definitely recognize the coach from Waterboy's voice at some point. Not Henry Winkler. The guy who's in it all.
Yeah, Blake. I know who you're talking. I think it's Blake Cox. I don't know if he was in this movie.
I really recognize
Robert Smigel. Robert Smigel. He's the miniature horse.
Yes, Smigel's in it. Smigel helped him write it, right? Smigel is known as pretty much the founding writer of SNL. Not in 1975, sorry. He's known as one of the most famous and prominent writers of SNL. I believe he came in SNL in the 90s, but yes.
Oh, Blake Clark was the golfer.
Yes.
Blake Clark was the golfer.
He's like, you hit him in the crotch. You hit him in the crotch. Yes.
Did you know who the alligator was at the end?
No.
Chris Kattan.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. You got to love that Sandler puts all his guys in. And if you look at the credits, he put Jackie Sandler, his wife, then another member, Jackie's maiden name is Titone. There was a Titone. Then there was Smigel. Then there were Smigel's kids. There were Sandler's kids. You got to love when it's a family affair, as long as it doesn't take away from, obviously, the execution of the film. But I think that's cool.
I think his daughters are talented. I think they can both act. They've obviously had practice at it. And going back to what you said, if this was just any animated movie with any actors, and you have a screenplay and it's comical, it's entertaining, Adam Sandler, he puts a unique twist on it. And you're absolutely right. What you said. I think of 8 Crazy Nights with Rob Schneider's character, right? Where he rips off his shirt at the end of the movie, and he's just bum bitty bum. Like that reminded me of the dad and the son, because doesn't the dad rip off his shirt in the movie too?
Yes, the dad, one of the kids whose problems he solves has a hair on his back, and he's like, "Look at my dad," and his dad is like the hairiest back of all time, but he's so confident about it.
Yeah,
There's one thing we didn't even mention about this movie, and I think before we wrap the movie up, it's kind of a musical too.
Yes. I didn't love that about it.
You felt that was forced?
I just didn't think it was necessary. And I think it was randomly throughout the movie. Like it was a lot more of that in the beginning of the movie. And then towards the middle, they got away from it. I think there was a joke. Someone was like, stop singing at one point.
Yeah, there were a lot of random musicals, and I would agree it wasn't necessary. It almost made it feel a little more campy. And I would say the musicals were the least funny part. If you're going to do a musical, make the musical the funny, make that the joke. They were just kind of singing about what they were doing. So, for example, like the girl Summer, the first girl he visits, her problem is she talks too much, doesn't listen enough. And he's trying to uncover that. And she just starts singing really simple, like, my life's not great. I talk too much. Okay, let's. And it almost felt a little bit half baked, where there wasn't much thought and music going into the musicals. It was just like, what if we sing some of our lines? Now, I don't think this ruined the movie, but I agree it wasn't necessary. It was random. It kind of broke out maybe 6 to 8 times throughout the film in just a random sing a scene. So I will say that was the one part for me I could have done without. But with that said, they always have a little cute, catchy tune, and for the most part, everyone had a decent voice.
Yeah, yeah. And I listen, you know, for people who don't know, Nick, he writes and acts in a comedy sketch show in New York City once a month at the Players Theater. And where's the next show, Nick?
Next
Sold
show
out.
is January. We are sold out December 8th. The next show for tickets is January 6th.
And I only bring that up because you write musical sketches in your show. And I don't think that you're doing a sketch that's half musical, half not, right?
It has to feel like why you're making it a musical is deliberate. It's like, don't just make anything a musical for no reason just because you feel like singing. For example, we have a musical called The Garbage Men about 2 very masculine garbage men who both secretly are not as masculine as they're acting. And one of them loves reading and hot yoga, and you find out they love musical theater. And that spurs them to be, hey, why are we smoking cigarettes and degrading women when we could be singing about our passions? So that to me feels like a very logical step into a musical. Like I just said before, yes, this just felt like there was no rhyme or reason other than, hey, we do music too. Let's throw some music in there.
And going back to probably me and Nick's favorite animated movie of all time, 8 Crazy Nights, if not our favorite in the top 5, the musical numbers in 8 Crazy Nights are great, right? I mean, you know, Whitey, yeah, they're all just fantastic.
Because they were singing in these sad moments of like, they were singing because they're reflecting and they don't know how, like, expressing yourself in your darkest moments through song. And then when everyone, like, in the big climax, when in 8 Crazy Nights, all the store fronts sing at him, that felt so like it was such a chaotic music scene of him being put in his place. Yes, that felt so ingrained in the structure and the story of the film.
I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but like my favorite line from 8 Crazy Nights in the song is when Sandler just goes, you know, there's a character with a hook hand.
Yeah.
And Sandler just goes, I wonder if that guy ever wiped his ass with the wrong hand.
What does he say?
Goes,
sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
5'3".
Oh, such a good movie.
Your pants and you'll pee in your pants at the annual All-Star banquet waiting for me. I think this is also an 8 Crazy Nights promotion as well.
Yeah. If you haven't seen 8 Crazy Nights, the holidays are coming up. Hanukkah starts December 7th, next Friday. Watch 8 Crazy Nights, please. Do yourself a favor. You know, moving on from this movie. Okay, we got to rate the movie. So out of 10, what are you giving it?
7.2.
I'm going 6.8. It's below. So IMDb was 7. So IMDb had the rating right in between us. I think the musicals and the fact that it ran on too long, it makes me put it below 7. But because Sandler's just such a genius, I thought him and Bill Burr together were awesome. Like I would like to see them do more projects together. That puts it in that 6 range. So I gave it a 6.8.
I thought it was perfect casting. Yeah, 7.2 to me is like, it's it's above average. It's no means unbelievable. But what I think earned that over a 7 for me was those funny moments, those breadcrumbs, those things that, you know, people like you and I with a more silly, slapstick, goofy, raunchy sense of humor really appreciate some of those jokes. the teacher puking into a bucket, the teacher licking a Cheetos napkin was so ridiculous. I laughed out loud, and those redeeming qualities for me, I could look past the length. I could look past the random musical outbursts.
All right. I don't know if there's an actor out there who's dominated Netflix more than Sandler has in terms of original Netflix movies. Can you think of one?
I mean, who's dominated original comedies?
On Netflix specifically.
Yes, also on Netflix. I mean, I just don't know who's putting out a film every 2 years.
Well, he had that deal a few years ago.
He
I
had
think
like
it
a
was
10-year deal with Netflix. Yeah, it was like 10 films.
Yeah, where he just right.
Starting with what's the Native American one? That was so good.
The Ridiculous Six.
The Ridiculous Six.
I don't think that was the first one. I think the first one
was the first either. I don't think so.
Was the Do-Over he did with David Spade, which was a bad movie.
I did not like that.
He was like a secret. Listen, Adam Sandler should not be a Secret Service agent in any movie. Like whatever, but he did a lot listening.
The worst Adam Sandler, and he produced this. This must have been a Happy Gilmore production, but Happy Madison Productions. He wasn't in it. The worst movie on Netflix with Adam Sandler's name on it, The Wrong Missy.
I didn't mind that movie.
Dude.
I didn't mind that movie at all.
Annoying, disgusting.
I thought she was funny. I thought she was great.
See, that's where we'll differentiate a tiny bit.
What was her name? Lauren. I gotta look her up. She was great.
Don't watch The Wrong Missy. Basically, David Spade takes the wrong woman. He fell in love with this girl, Missy. He takes the wrong, annoying Missy to vacation.
Lauren Lapkus is her name.
She is funny. She's a very funny, goofy actor.
And your girl's in that movie, by the way.
Who's Sarah Chalke?
Elliot from Scrubs.
Yeah, Sarah Chalke.
Sarah Chalke.
Speaking of voices, this is on a random note, but could you tell the Rick and Morty voices are different? Because I couldn't get past it for like the first 10 minutes.
I don't think I've watched. You're talking about the new season?
Yeah.
What season are we in?
What's the new season that just came out? 7?
I don't know if I've seen. Listen, I'll tell you the Solar Opposites. Have you watched that new season?
No, I have not caught up.
Oh my God. They replaced him with a guy with an English accent. And it's like so obvious. And it's just like
the new season. Granted, I was high when I watched the first episode. I might have been overthinking it, but I was like, oh my God, Rick sounds the same. Like I'll get past that. But Morty, like it's close, but noticeably different.
I gotta listen. I gotta watch the new season of Rick and Morty. What was the consensus on Justin Roiland? Because I saw something. You can't believe everything you read. So initially, the domestic abuse claims came out and he was done and that was it. But then I thought I saw recently that they were dropped. Do you have any update on that?
I'm sorry. Say that again on Justin Roiland?
Yeah.
On him being dropped or the show being dropped?
No, on I thought I saw something that the person who was accusing him stopped accusing him and I don't want to.
Oh,
I'm not making it.
I'm not well versed to speak to that.
I gotta look that up. But listen, whatever happened, he's out, and it's a totally different show without him.
The first episode of Rick and Morty of the new season was one of the best episodes of all time. I thought it was brilliant.
I gotta watch that.
Season. I believe it's season 7, episode 1. I absolutely loved it.
Okay, there you have it.
All right, so Leo, a joint rating of 7 out of 10. I think the overall Cinema Bros Shanman consensus is worth a watch, not mind-blowing, a lot of cute, funny moments, and it'll always make you feel something. Bonus, if you are a big Adam Sandler fan, then it's a must-watch. But if you've always been a little iffy about Sandler, maybe you could do without it.
Really fast, by the way, because this was bothering me. I looked up the Rick and Morty thing. Justin Roiland faced domestic violence charges, which were later dropped. An allegation of sexual assault and reports claiming he talked to underage girls online. So that's the story. The domestic violence charges were later dropped, but then there's this allegation of sexual assault and reports claiming he was talking to underage women. I wasn't going to bring it up, but the Josh Giddey thing in the NBA, have you seen that?
Now we're going off on a real tangent. The people don't want to hear about cinema, Spen. They don't want to hear about
I know. I got a lot on my mind. I'm a news junkie.
Well, why don't we, you're absolutely right. We could talk outside of the pod.
Yeah. What do you think Sandler's next project is here? Where does he go? Do you think he just keeps making these family-friendly movies? Or do you think eventually he's going to get back into doing something like an Uncut Gems? Because part of me feels like he's done with the Billy Madison type of adult nonsense movies, right? Like that's my boy.
I mean, he's entering a chapter in his life where both his daughters are of age. They're good actors, and they could both be, they're old enough to be of age, meaning they're old enough to be in his films. They're middle school, high school, college, next year. I think he's just hit a point in his life where he wants to make family movies with them. But who knows? I mean, hey, when she got old enough, Judd Apatow's daughter started acting in kind of more of those fucked up, was she Pete Davidson? She's King of Staten Island, in those more like raunchy, more mature audience comedies. So who's to say when Sadie and Sonny hit 18, 19, 20, 21, is he going to start writing more fun, super bad type comedies, teenage comedies for them? So I would say right now it seems like he's in that family phase, but it's Sandler. Who knows what he's going to do next? I would hope within the next 2 to 5 years, he does put out, even Murder Mystery Party I could do without. So something like an Uncut Gems, or if you want to go the dramatic route, or even bringing back one of those Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, or even like what's the Jennifer Aniston? Just go with it, like a fun rom-com that has some raunch to it. So we'll see. I hope he's not sticking with the family stuff forever.
Is raunch an adjective?
Some raunch, yeah.
Some raunch.
You can get some raunch.
Sandler's 57 years old, and Leo was the #1 movie on Netflix. So shout out to Adam Sandler. Shout out to him and his family's success, and keep doing you. Me and Nick are we've just been diehard fans ever since we watched our first Sandler movie at the age of, like, I would say 9 and 7, maybe.
Yeah, no, we've been diehards forever. So it's I like that you and I also watch this stuff and we appreciate the other stuff he does, not just getting upset about kind of the more slapstick comedy stuff he used to do.
All right, that does it for this week's episode of Cinema Bros. If you have any recommendations or suggestions of movies you would like Nick and I to review, please message us at Cinnamon Bros on Cinnamon Bros at Cinema Bros on Instagram, on Twitter. Check out our YouTube page, and thanks again for listening. Nick, any final words for the listeners?
January 6th, if you are in New York City, I know it's the storming of the Capitol date, but January 6th in New York City, 2024. If you like some messed up humor, come check out I Mostly Blame Myself. Tickets are on imostlyblame myself.com.
Bye-bye.